Hi everyone, this is Karp, and today I'd like to give a review on the Lange 1 time zone. It's a dual time watch that was introduced in 2005, and a Lange and Sohne is a superior brand. They make some of the finest watches in the world, and if you'd like a brief background of the company, you can check out one of my other reviews. It's the Lange 1 review on the Stealth and the Darth. But at first glance, you may look at this watch and it may seem a little bit busy. It's actually not once I walk you through the features. And it serves a practical purpose. For anybody that travels often, especially international, it really comes in handy. So let me explain a little bit about the watch so you can understand how, the functionality and how it works. You can see here that this is the main dial. So this time should represent your home time. And then there's actually a smaller dial, and this is your secondary time zone. So this is really the destination of where you want to go. And you can see that the time in the smaller dial and the main dial, it's the same because I've synchronized it to New York. And then there's day and night indicators here. You can see the dark blue circle, or half circle, and there's an arrow. So if the arrow is pointing, towards the blue, that means it's nighttime. When it's not pointing towards the blue, that means it's daytime. And the blue half circle starts at 6 p.m. and ends at 6 a.m. So right now you can see that it's right for New York. It's about 3:45 p.m. If it was 3:45 a.m., that arrow would be pointing into the blue. And you can see around the edge of this watch that there's a number of cities that are listed. There's actually 24. And these are the 24 time zones that were agreed upon in 1884 when the world was subdivided into those 24. So how to tell which time zone you're in is on the smaller dial. You can see here that at the 5 o'clock indicator, there's an arrow, and that arrow points to whatever time zone you're in. So you can see that right now it's pointing to New York, and that's why both the times are exactly the same. Now London's 5 hours ahead, so it would be closer to 8 o'clock if we were to go there. So if to advance the city ring, you can see that there's a couple pushers here, one's for the date, one's for the city ring. So I'm going to advance this 5 times, and you're going to see the main dial is not going to change because that represents your home time, but the secondary dial will change as we start moving around the world to different cities and countries. So I'm going to click it once. You can see it advanced 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you can see that it's pointing towards London, which is on the outer edge of the city ring. And then there's cities that are on the inner edge that we'll see as well. And you can see that you're starting to approach nighttime. So as I did that, I don't know if you noticed, but that day-night indicator, that arrow started moving to the blue, and now it's actually in the blue section, meaning that they're 5 hours ahead of New York, not behind. Now if I continue to advance it, you can see it cycle through different cities, and if I wanted to get to one here, you may say, okay, it looks like it's the same as New York, but it's not pointing at New York. It's actually pointing at, as you can see here, Bangkok. And so if you were in Thailand, they are exactly 12 hours ahead of us right now, or ahead of New York right now. The way you can tell the difference that it's not New York quickly is that the day-night indicator is pointing towards the blue. So you can actually, it's telling you that it's almost that it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning there in Bangkok. So that's a little bit about the functionality. There's a couple other features here that you can see. This is the rapid date indicator. So for the 5 months out of the year that don't have 31 days, you can adjust the date, and it's a pretty unique feature. It's a hallmark of Lange's. It's made of 2 separate discs, and as a result, you can see one is recessed barely behind the other one, but only one of the discs will move until you actually move into the 20s or 30s. You can see if I push it slowly, both discs will move, and then you can keep clicking it to whatever day it is. So that's the outsized date, and then on the right hand side you have a power reserve. So this will, when it's fully wound, it's charged for 72 hours or 3 days before you need to wind it again. As it gets to the lower dots, that means that you need to wind it. And to wind it, you just turn this, and you can start to see the arrow. You can start to see the arrow moving upwards. So it's pretty quick to do. And this would last a few days when it's fully wound. And then this is it's a heavy watch. It's made of 417 parts, and on the back here you can see that there is a 3/4 plate which anchors the movement. So and then there's a drivetrain or wheel train that is on the outside of the 3/4 plate that is used to advance the city ring that I walked you through. So this is a platinum version. It is heavy, and anybody that handles this watch, that is their first reaction, is that it's a very, very heavy and hefty watch, and it's the first words that come out of their mouth. The 24 time zones, they're offset by the Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC, by a whole number. And my only issue is that there's a handful of time zones that are offset by 30 minutes or 45 minutes. 45 minutes, like that would be Nepal, for instance, if you're ever to go there. I've never been, but I think you cannot include all the time zones because it would be massively complicated and the diameter would be much bigger. But India, for example, is 9.5 hours ahead of New York. And for a country that big, I think it deserves to be on this watch. The challenge for Lange is that it would require, a crazy innovation to advance it half an hour, whereas right now it's cycling in full hours. But that's what they're good at in terms of innovation. And selfishly, I go to India a couple times a year on business. So this watch, yes, it's expensive, but it's absolutely pointless to own if you're afraid to wear it traveling. And if anyone is going to get robbed, it's going to be the person, wearing a Rolex, which is highly liquid and obviously much more recognizable across the globe. And that's one of the reasons why, actually, to insure this watch here, or to insure a standard Lange 1, it's only $100 because they have serial numbers and they have a low record of being stolen, I think, because most people don't know about this brand. So that is just a little bit about the Lange 1 time zone. Hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.